we put so much pressure on ourselves at a young age that no wonder when we then get into our 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, we just think, oh, we've got this like nervousness that actually like someone's going to figure it out, or I'm going to fail this and I'm going to be kicked out of this. And it's just, it's so ingrained into us from childhood. Hi, and welcome to Self-Discovery in Good Company. How are you, Stace?
You good, Stacey. How are you?
I am good. This is even later than usual for us.
Even later than usual. It's just getting later and later. And I turn into a pumpkin if I'm not in my bed by 10. So,
I know. We'll get you in your bed by 10, don't you worry.
oh, I mean, it's lights out at 10. It's like lights out, eyes shut, asleep. That is me.
The thing is, if we just started as soon as we came on the call,
Oh,
we'd have
I
started
know.
like 25 minutes
We'd be
ago.
done by
But
now.
anyway,
We'd be done by now. We'd be done by now. But hey ho, it's nice to sit and have a catch up and hear how your week has been and what's been going on. And I like to do it. I like to do it.
exactly. So how has your week been?
It's been fairly uneventful,
Mm-hmm.
but hey, you said to me before, you were like, I think people like the mundane. I'm like, well, they would have to want to hear anything about my life. They would have to enjoy the mundane because that is what it is.
One of our
So
things, though, is like the joy in the mundane.
exactly, exactly. Finding the joy in the small things. You have to really want to find it. Like you have to really want to find it. So yeah, it's been a pretty uneventful week. But I was saying to you before we started, that I do believe the universe is always giving you a challenge. It's always giving you a lesson. It's always giving you, you're always learning something, right? And I also believe that your children choose you to be parents. Now, I know that's proper like woo woo. People be like, what the hell? You think your children choose you before they come here? Yes, I do. I do actually believe that. So I believe that Sadie Gilmore is a big lesson to me. And she chose to come here and teach me the art of patience because my God, you would need it with that kid. Honestly, tonight, I forgot to tell you this bit. She cut her hair. This is the child who's 8 years old. She came through with a chunk of hair in her hand, and I was like, "What?" She was like, "The ends were really bothering me," and I thought, "Oh, for God's sake!" I was, I was honestly, and this is all after that she's had her iPad confiscated, like, because the attitude is stinking. She's 8 years old. Oh, this was the other
Is it
thing she
just
said.
you, or is it to like her dad as well? Is it
Yeah, she
worse
does
to
it
you?
to Gab as well, but to me, she
She knows
likes
how to
to.
press your buttons.
She 100% does. And that is, again, why I believe she's been here to test me. So this morning she said to me, she's like, I wish you would carry around a Stanley Cup. And I was like, what?
She did
Why?
not say
She
that.
did. And she said to Gav, she went, I think for Mother's Day, we should get Mummy a Stanley Cup. And I was like, no, no, no. I don't want a Stanley Cup. I'm not needing a Stanley Cup. She's like, well, no, but can't you carry it up to school with you? And I was like,
Oh
no,
my God.
I don't know who you think I am. I don't know what American TV programs you've been watching. Like, I am not carrying that. And she's like, you could get some Lululemon. I was like, again, no, no, I'm not having Lululemon.
I
Like,
don't know how many times you have to tell that child that you do not feel like you were born for Lycra. I've heard you
honestly,
tell her. I've heard you tell her.
I tell her all the time. I'm like, Sadie, I'm not made for leggings. I'm not made for leggings. Like this, I'm not doing it. But she wants me to be the mum that wears Lululemon leggings and carries a Stanley Cup. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's not me. So anyway, I digress.
That's
So,
honestly one of the funniest things I've heard in
oh,
ages. That she wants
honestly,
you to just put a Stanley Cup.
she was like, do you want me to go and get mine and you can take it in the car? And I was like, again, no. I don't
Is
need
she
to do
wanting you
that.
hydrated? I don't think so. I think she
No,
just
she
wants you to look
doesn't.
good.
She wants me to look like the moms she sees on the internet.
She wants you
So
to look like a
anyway,
mom.
a mom for sure. And yeah, so she's just been honestly pushing the old boundaries, especially with the Stanley Cup. And she cut her hair tonight. That was a good one. And she'd had her iPad taken off her. And she's got an obsession with swear words right now. Honestly, she's just trying her hardest to get away with saying things. She, I can say heck. And I'm like, no, you can't. I've told
Heck.
you heck, like what the heck? Like, and I know that's not necessarily a bad word, but I was like, no, Sadie, not in my house. You cannot say things like what the heck. And she went, I was reading Roald Dahl's Matilda last night, and he says the word ass in it. Can I say ass? And I was like, no,
I don't.
no.
She obviously doesn't know enough about Roald Dahl to know that he should not be used
I know.
to
I was
promote
like,
your argument, Saids.
I went, no, that was written of a time when he could maybe say those things. I went, you're not saying ass. And she came home from swimming tonight and said, Auntie, let me sing Beyonce Texas Hold'em, and she let me sing the B and the sh words in it. And I was like, oh, very good. Okay, then. So she's been allowed to swear singing Texas Hold'em. And then she said to me, she went, can I say the C word? And I went, what? I went, oh, and I'm like, this is like, at this point, I'm starting to lose my shit. Z, this is why she wants to swear. She hears me say things like that. And I went, absolutely not. Where have you heard that? That's an utterly disgusting word. No. Oh my goodness. Oh, I think, thinking, I'm going to have to phone the school because this is ridiculous. How do children know about this word, the C word? Absolutely not. And she was like, oh, Mom, it's just another word for poop. I was like, oh,
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 right.
your C word is different from my C word. I went, you're talking about crap, aren't you? And she was like, yeah, can I say it? And I was like, no. And also, you can't say the other C word either. So, yeah, she's just been testing my patience today. And I've often seen her do a little peace sign to me and then flick it round quickly just to be like, oh, look, I'm swearing at my mum. Honestly, she's
Well,
just
she
something.
does. When
Honestly.
I take a picture of Harper, she's 3.5. She'll do like, she did something the other day, and someone was like, "It's peace and pout, peace and pout." I'm like, "What is that?"
What
It's
is
like
that?
I can't even bring myself to do it because I honestly make
She's
myself like gag
pouting
if I
as
try to
well.
pout. Yeah, she's pouting.
Oh,
She's 3.5. She's pouting.
see, this is like, I feel like we have been set the ones that are going to try us.
Oh,
Like,
she is
definitely.
going to try me for sure. She's also obsessed with Texas Hold'em just now,
Oh,
which is my
w-
fault. I mean, she's listened to it
I
if I
mean,
put it on.
we
But
love that song. It's a great song. But Sadie is just desperate to say,
the
yeah,
swears.
bitch and
Thankfully,
shit.
in, all Harper's is interested in is like, oh,
Yeah.
hey,
Oh,
those little
so
bits.
yeah. Oh, they're the
They're
best
fine.
bits.
Yeah, they're the
They're the
best bits.
best bits. So yeah, that is another parenting lesson from me tonight. How not to parent. Um yeah. And yeah. What else from you, Stace?
What else from me? I'm just back from an event, so I'm all pumped up. I went
Oh,
to an
love
International
it.
Women's Day event.
Oh, the vibes will be
Um,
high.
vibes were high. It was amazing. There was three speakers, and do you know what? Two of them, they were all super successful in different things. One was like a tech entrepreneur who was an engineer to start with. One was in research, and one has set up like I'll need to look into her. It was either an organization or she's dedicating her life to help refugees.
Oh my
But
gosh.
two of them
So an
were
amazing
refugees.
person then. Like
Yeah,
amazing
two of them were
person then.
actually refugees, and one of them
Wow.
had a disability when they were young. Honestly, their stories were so inspiring.
Oh, I love that.
Um, yeah. So I was like, Stace, I'm
Oh,
on
I
my way
bet you.
back. Bowl of cereal for my tea.
Head podcast.
Unfortunately, I thought there'd be more canapes. I was a bit.
Oh,
light on the
what? No
canapes.
canapes. No canapes.
Canapes.
My
There was one that went past me that I grabbed, which I don't think you would
oh,
have picked. It was like, I liked it. It was like vegetable and tofu.
oh, honestly, the worst kind of canape, if you ask me. I need a haggis
A
bonbon.
haggis bonbon, yeah.
That is
Um,
what I'm gonna need.
and then yeah, so it's International Women's Day tomorrow. We've been
Yep,
working on an exciting project which is launching tomorrow. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
love it.
So yes, I've been spending quite a lot of time on that. And basically more information will come. We actually think we're going to do a podcast specifically on it,
I think we
which will be
should.
exciting.
I
I
think it'll
think
be
we should.
really good. I think it'll be
I think
really
we should
good.
as well. Um, but one of the big things is it's basically to support females in their personal life and their professional lives and kind of try and bridge that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
And some of it will just be kind of holistic, leadership development stuff, how to build confidence. And one of the big themes in it, and actually the most requested thing whenever we've had people say like what we
Mm.
should do on the podcast is imposter syndrome.
Oh,
So we're
it's
going to
like
talk
we
about
all
imposter syndrome.
suffer from it or something.
Yeah, yeah. So just kick us off, what is imposter syndrome?
You
So
tell me. You tell me.
I will tell you. So imposter syndrome is basically that feeling that you have that you're not good enough in its simplest form, that you're not
Mm-hmm.
good enough, that you've been accidentally put into a role and someone's going to figure you out and take you out of that position,
Oh,
or
yeah.
you're going to be found out, or you're going to be sacked, or whatever it is. It's just this feeling that you have that you're not good enough for whatever reason. And actually, someone once said to me, and I went for a coffee with somebody today, and I shared it with them, and they were like, "Gosh, that's really interesting. That everything we do is associated with our self belief.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do. So, someone that you see that's super arrogant actually is maybe not confident in themselves. So that's a bit of a pretense that you see
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they're
yeah.
actually, not confident in themselves. So like everything we do is linked to our self-worth and our self-belief. So when that's low, then we will act in ways that are perhaps not true to us. And if you think about the imposter syndrome thing, if you think that someone's just put you in a job or you're not good enough for something, and that could be like anything, it's like, it doesn't just have to be in the work environment,
Yeah.
then you will act in a way to prove to others. And actually, you can really damage yourself, your emotional and probably, your physical health as well. Because you're just worried that someone's going to find you out and actually you're not as good as everyone else thinks that you are. It's that nagging voice in
Exhausting.
your head.
It's actually
Have
exhausting.
have you
Like
suffered
the
with it?
minute. I think we've all, I
Yeah.
mean, we must have all suffered at some points. I think probably the time that I can think of the most is not so much maybe in my marketing roles, not for any other reason, but when I was doing like freelance bridal makeup, because it is such
Mm,
a saturated industry and there's so many amazing talents. I would pick apart like my photos, my work, anything, and think, I'm not as good as them. I'm not as good as them.
really?
Why would people choose me when they could when they could pick them? Like, I would go to the point where like you were, charging like much cheaper than everyone else, thinking,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to do something because if I charge too much, they'll think that like, they'll think that I'm supposed to be at this level. I don't feel I'm that level. So I'm just going to charge like, a fraction of what everyone else is charging.
Yeah.
And, it's just these ideas in your head that make you think like, oh, well, I've got to do this because I'm not as good as them, or, and I would go above and beyond for people, like, to
Mm-hmm.
make it feel like they're getting like value for money, they're getting something worthwhile
Mm-hmm.
in me. And that is definitely like a form of imposter syndrome,
Oh,
like
definitely. I
showing up
coach
in
a
a
lot of people
way,
on that.
yeah, like being a people pleaser, trying to
Yes.
be a perfectionist, never putting a foot wrong. So you're never like found out, like you said. And, the fact is, like, actually, as the years went on, I realized, no, I actually am like, and I think it comes with age as well,
It
and
does.
it
Mm-hmm.
comes with age and it comes with doing something for a long period of time. Like, the longer you're in the game, and the more experience you get, I definitely felt like it started to disappear. And I don't remember it being, such an important thing. But I remember, like, when I was first starting out, like, I didn't sleep the night before weddings. Like, I was so
Really?
petrified. Yeah, I was so petrified. I was either going to be running late or I was going to show up and I wasn't going to be like on form. Like, I really did put a lot of pressure on myself to be amazing. And it's like, yeah, it's exhausting. It's exhausting living
Yeah, I
like
know.
that.
I know, definitely. I think as well, like, there's a gender thing with imposter syndrome as well. I mean, you can get imposter syndrome at both genders would can suffer, and it's an individual
Hmm.
thing. So, but typically you see it more in females.
Yeah.
And I coach a lot of people on even and actually people who are setting up businesses and who have to kind of stake their price. And they really struggle with it. It's almost like they
Yeah.
know, but they know what they think they should charge. That's
Yeah.
not the issue. But they
No.
think, if I'll price myself a little bit less than that
Yeah.
because that's more palatable for someone else, or I won't feel
Yes.
as much pressure. And
Yes.
and
Yes.
I've had it as well. I don't like telling people what my rate is. Like
Oh,
I'd
I
much
hated it.
rather, yeah,
I
did you?
hated doing that. Oh my God, I hated doing stuff like that. Hated doing stuff like that. Like, I would just send the price list and, like,
That's
just
exactly what I do
skirt
because then
around it.
you don't have to
You
speak
don't
it
have to
out.
say it. But then I
Yeah.
think I got to a point where I was like, well, no, actually, my worth is based on not what you think I can do. It's based on experience. It's based on training. It's
Mm-hmm.
based on the products in my kit. It's based on everything like that. That is why I am the price I am. And if you don't like
Mm-hmm.
that, there's fine. There's somebody for your budget. But it takes a while to get your head around that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and, believe in yourself like that and say,
Yeah.
no, I am worth this. Like, I am worth it. Um, so
I've
yeah.
had it like throughout my career. I think I've got it a bit now where I'm setting up the personal growth collective. I do have it a bit, but I, it goes with age, I think, some of it. And I suppose literally you just literally have more experience with age. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you're
Yeah.
able,
It's as simple as that. Yeah.
yeah, and you're probably more mature and you've got a bit more, you care less what other people think about you. You
Yeah.
believe more in yourself. So there's like a few things, but oh my gosh, I've had it so much at work, so much at work. Like I've been quite lucky. I've been promoted quite a few times over the years. And every time I've felt like, oh wow, this is it. They're gonna like figure out that I'm not actually as good as they think I am, or
Oh my
I'm gonna be
goodness.
found out. Even do you know what? I even probably have it now because I'm thinking about it because I'm reduced my hours and I've got a new boss and I said to him like, I could stay. They wanted me to stay originally for 6 months. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm not really that busy now. I could because like naturally when you finish a job, like you're trailing stuff
Yeah.
down and stuff like that. And there's a lot of change going on at my work. And I said to him, I was like, I don't mind finishing earlier if you, because I don't want people to think, oh, look, what's Stacey doing? She's just sitting around doing nothing. And both of them were like to me, Stacey, no one's going to think that. Like everyone, one of the women was so nice. She's like, you're like the hardest working person, one of the hardest working people I've met. No one is going to think
Yeah.
that you're sitting doing nothing. But I think it's this thing that like, oh God, I don't want someone to find me out. Like it's just because
Yeah.
all the beliefs that we have about ourselves are from childhood. So
Hmm.
if you think about it, so I coach a lot of people on this, it's like we are conditioned throughout school, even nursery. Like, I'll come into nursery, Harper is 3.5. Oh, mommy, look what I did today. This is the drawing that I did, and like this is what I did. Then you're set, you go straight into school. So it's then like, okay, exams and
Hmm.
prelims and like tests and all this
Hmm.
stuff. And you're continuously have to show yourself to prove that
Yes.
you're
Showing
kind
your
of
worth.
getting your
Yeah.
grades and showing your worth. Yeah, totally. And
Through
I remember
that.
every single exam I've had, I thought I would fail. And I remember my mum was like, my mum, I think, thought I was like, I don't think she thought, but she would say, Stacey, you say this all the time and and I never have failed an exam. Fifth year at school, because I was very close to failing exams because I just wanted to go out all the time.
Yeah.
So I had to work really hard in sixth year because I didn't get the grades in fifth year. But anyway, apart from that, I didn't fail anything. I've never failed, but I would go
I
into
know.
any exam and think I was going to fail.
Oh, always. I don't know, like I know I can't blame my parents for everything about me, but I I come from boomer parents and I love like, boomer, millennial, all this sort of stuff because it
Yeah,
just
it's so
rings
interesting.
so true to me. And I definitely think there was a part of their generation was like they believed that you had to if you prepared yourself for the worst, then anything else is just a bonus sort of thing. Like,
Hmm.
and it was always felt like that it was like, oh, well, like, if you fail, you fail. Oh, yeah. Oh, I just feel that I don't want to blame my parents,
Do
but
they listen?
they wouldn't know how to listen to a podcast, Stace. They wouldn't know how to switch on a computer or anything like that. So, like, that's their generation. They come
Yeah,
from this self-deprecating place where it's easier to just berate and put yourself down
yeah,
and then just be pleasantly surprised. Like, and when you come from that, it's really
yeah.
hard to shift that. And I know that something I do try really hard to do with Sadie, and I'll try to do with the boys, that no, like we don't berate ourselves. We don't put ourselves down. Like we've all got different strengths and try to word it in a different way. But I know that I
Hmm.
grew up with that attitude and we've spoken about it before
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
I think like, I don't always see my worth in what I'm doing. And, I have like limiting beliefs about the things I can do in that and how
We
I've
need to
always
do an
said,
episode on limiting beliefs.
oh,
My
well, like,
God.
I don't think I've got this horrible belief that, like, if I don't have a bit of paper or a qualification that says I can do it, then why would people believe I could do it? It's like I have to
Hmm.
prove that I can do it. And, somebody greater than me has said that I can do it. So now I can do it. And that's not the case. Like, there's so
Yeah,
many entrepreneurs and self-made people who don't have like, degrees, qualifications. They're self-made. Like, it's experience, it's trying things, it's
100%.
all of that. And I somehow allow other people that, but I wouldn't allow it for myself.
It's
It's
that
weird.
thing. Did we speak about this on the podcast? I can't remember, but we definitely spoke about it together where you would, when you come in, when your kid comes in from school and you'll say, how did you get on? How was swimming? How was maths? How was English? Blah, blah, blah. You focus on the academic stuff
Hmm.
and you don't perhaps naturally think, how did you feel today? Did you
Yeah.
have how were your friends? Who did you play with? Did you have a nice conversation? What was the
Hmm.
highlight of your day? Like we do kind of focus on, and if you think that's the way that we've been brought up as well. I mean, I'm the first person in my family to go to university. I'm not the last. And that's again a generational thing because
Yeah.
actually, like, my mum certainly would have if it was a more done thing in her age. But
Hmm.
now, and you see that I think particularly in areas like I'm speaking to someone about America, and they were saying like it's so hard now to get into colleges and things because so many people more go, it's so expensive, scholarships, all this stuff that we put so much pressure on ourselves at a young age that no wonder when we then get into our 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, we just think, oh, we've got this like nervousness that actually like someone's going to figure it out or I'm going to fail this and I'm going to be kicked out of this. And it's just, it's so ingrained into us from
Hmm.
childhood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally. Totally agree. And I don't think we'll be the only people that feel like this. I
No,
think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. So, I mean, what can we do about it, Stace? What can we do?
there's lots of
Coach
things.
us out of it. Help me.
Um, okay, yeah, there's lots of things. I'll coach myself in some of these as well, so no, don't
Yeah,
worry.
totally. But
Um,
self-coaching.
exactly. So one of the things that we can do is, again, I'm going to say again, how true is that statement? Such a powerful coaching question you can
You
ask
love
yourself
that
in
one.
these
And it
moments.
is a good one, though. It's a good one.
I love throwing it out at people and then just seeing them be like, oh fuck,
I've got nothing. Yeah.
got nothing. Or they'll pull something out of the bag that I was like, well, that okay, that happened that one time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really just actually thinking like someone just said that this thing at the event, and what was it? It was so good. I wrote it in my notes. I'm such a geek. Like I was like writing, probably looked like I was bored because I was on my phone, but it wasn't that. They said, where is it? Imagination, your imagination is stronger than your reality, which
Yeah.
I
Oh, I
loved. It's
like
good, isn't
that.
it?
Oh, it's like a
I was
wee
like,
tattoo that.
it is your imagination is stronger than your reality. So if in your head you have all of these self-limiting beliefs and doubts and all of that, you're going to believe that and you're going to manifest that as well. That will
Yeah, oh,
become your
totally.
reality if we think about
Hmm.
that side of things, which we both love. So what you probably need to do in a situation like that is like, how true is that statement? What evidence do I have to support that statement? What is the actual reality of
Yeah.
what you're saying? So, I remember that I one day got pulled into an office and work. I probably thought I was going to get sacked because it's probably whenever I had things like that, I would have always thought, I'm
I
going to be
always
sacked.
think I'm going to be sacked.
I'm going to be sacked.
Yeah.
And I actually told this, I emailed this guy who had just kind of, I feel like something that you can do as well is if it's in a work capacity, it's trying to get yourself sponsors. And what I mean by that is like it's almost like your cheerleaders, your champions, your people who
Hmm.
in a room full of other people will shout about how great you are and
No.
put you forward for opportunities and things like that. And I've been really lucky that I've had quite a few of those. And one of them was this guy who's actually just left my work recently. And when he was leaving, I sent him a note and I just, because I didn't know if I was going to see him, and I just said, like, I don't know if you'll even remember this, but one day you pulled me into a meeting room and they said, right, you've been doing a really good job. We're restructuring. We want to make you, I think it was a senior manager. So or manager, I jumped a level. I know, I think it was maybe manager. I didn't have a team lead level role through
Hmm.
my career. And I honestly was like, I did not for a second delight in that. I was honestly like, oh my God, no. Oh my God, no. I am not ready for that. I will get found out. I'll be sacked because I'll be like disciplined out of my job because like I will be like performing, blah, blah. So they literally, and I was like, okay, thanks. And then I went back to my desk and I was like, right, I'm away to go and email them and just say to them, like, thank you so much, but I'd love the job, but can you make it a lower grade?
Oh
Which is
my
just now I
God.
say it out loud, I'm like, how ridiculous is that? Like, I'll keep my
That's
higher salary, but
unbelievable.
lower grade, no. I'd have been happy.
Hmm.
Like, I've never asked for a salary increase. I've never had to, thankfully. I've always normally, I would say, had bosses who's championed for that. But if you don't, then this is the risk of that
Yeah.
imposter syndrome getting in the way. So anyway, I went back and I was like, I'm going to email and say, I'll take the job, but can you please make it a lower level? It honestly was. And within 10 minutes, he'd sent an email out to everyone saying, hi, Stacey. Hi, everyone. Stacey is now I think it must have been early careers. It was a role I was doing like that. Early careers manager. She's going to be doing this. She's going to be doing that. She's going to be reporting into this person. And honestly, I like
You didn't have a
died.
chance.
I didn't have a chance. I was like at my desk cringing. It was the works night out that night, Christmas night out, or that week. And I remember going and I got comments from people that were like my level ish. Some were like friendly. They were like, so you're a manager now. So what does that mean? And then that just fuels your
Yeah, of
self-doubt
course.
that you're like, oh
Hmm.
my God.
Oh my God, they don't believe I can do this. Yeah.
So my advice there is that sometimes I didn't get sacked. I've had promotion since. sometimes people know your worth and thankfully see it more than you see it in yourself.
Oh, thank God for those people.
Thank God for those. But be those people for other people, I would
Oh,
say. And that's the law
100%.
of attraction. Like the more you do that for others, the more people will do it for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
that is,
that's definitely
oh, I
something.
love that. I love that. I love being a cheerleader for people. I pride
You
myself
are.
on
You're
being,
my top cheerleader.
I
One of
pride
them.
myself on being a
You are.
cheerleader. I really do. So, okay. So find mentors,
Find
sponsors, find your
mentors,
cheerleaders. Okay.
sponsors. Yeah. And they can be people who you've worked with previously, like ex-bosses, they could be mentors, things like that. You'll know who they are because
Yeah.
they're just people who, you know, the more you progress in your career, the less you'll actually apply for jobs.
Yeah.
Because jobs will find you, people will find you. There'll be someone who's got a project and they're like, oh, I want Stacey on that project because she
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
shit hot job for me last time.
Yeah.
So you'll know who those people are.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to do. I would say take stock of your achievements. We
Yes.
often don't do that very often. Some place it's a really good place to start is like your yearly objectives and things. Like at the end of the year, writing a list of all the cool things that you've done because you'll have done so much more than you realize.
Uh-huh.
So I
That's a
remember I
good
was
one as
coaching
well.
someone who's looking for a job the other day, and I was saying to them, like, write down all the things that you've done. And this is another thing that's a gender piece. Men, if you look at a job advert, typically women will think they have to have 100% of what is on that job profile before they'll
Mm-hmm.
job description before they'll apply.
Mm-hmm.
Men are about 60%.
Oh, to be a bloke.
Used to
Imagine
be a
thinking you could
bloke.
just do a job
I
without
know.
having all of the skills that you need. What does that feel like?
What does that feel like? I know. And it's not all men,
Honestly.
but yeah. And honestly, like, see, there's this Stephen Bartlett podcast clip. I don't know if you've seen it. And it's this woman, and I don't even really know who the woman is. I think her name's like, is it Roshni or something? It's so good. And basically, she speaks about how I've not even listened to the whole episode. I've just listened to this clip and I should because I love what she said. She spoke about how she was at a Bill Gates conference and Bill Gates and Bill Clinton were in the front row and she had a speaker slot and she only had 10 minutes. She had a 10-minute speaker slot. And she said she was like, everyone was like, oh gosh, lots of pressure on you type thing. If anyone's listening to this and I'm telling it slightly wrong, I apologize. This is my memory. And then she basically said that after she was like, do you know what? I wish I had 12 minutes because I actually have a lot to say. And she was like, when did I stop being that girl that was scared and like nervous and become this woman who was like confident? And she said she realized, and she said, I've been within CEOs, prime ministers, presidents, businessmen, like really successful, some of the most successful people, successful
Mm-hmm.
money wise or whatever in the world. And she says, and I've met them and some of them, and I've been like, you?
Yeah.
Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, me and my girl, and she says it like this, and it's so good. She's like, me and my girls, we would run circles around you. And
I
I'm
love it.
honestly like, how good is that?
I love that. That's amazing.
It's
That
so
is.
good. I will put it in the description. I'll need to remember
Oh
to
my
remind me to
God,
do
you
that. So,
should.
but it's
It,
so good. And I
it
honestly love it. And I think that comes from a place of maturity and just believing in yourself. But you have to then reflect on what you've done to be able to have more of a belief in
yeah.
yourself like that.
Oh, I love that. It's like that TikTok trend. See, I obviously take it back to TikTok trends, where the voiceover is, how hard can it be? Men do it. Men do it. How hard can it be? And I'm like, yes, yes, sister, that is it. I'm so for that. I mean, there's so many people that get to roles and positions that you're like, how have you got there?
Mm-hmm.
Bojo,
Mm-hmm.
prime example. Like, like, how did you get
Yeah.
there? And it's because they just have a belief in themselves and they believe that they, for whatever reason, can do those
Mhm.
jobs, and they don't give a
Mhm.
shit what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
They're like, I can do that. And they just
And
have this insane belief in themselves.
yeah, and actually, can't remember the statistic, but there's something about the percentage of CEOs that are narcissists
Oh.
is like off the scale. And I listened to a really good podcast on narcissism the other day by the leading narcissist researcher in the world or something. And they were saying 1 in 6 people are likely to be a narcissist. It's really hard to define because you're not going to self-diagnose yourself. Most people are not going to
No.
self-diagnose. But if
Well,
you
certainly
think,
not a narcissist.
well,
They
that's the
wouldn't.
thing, because they
They would
don't
not be
see it.
self-diagnosing.
But there are a lot of the people in power.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I quite believe that. I quite
Yeah.
believe that. It's a
But yeah,
worry.
so yeah, you're right. It's almost like have I think leaders as well. You can think of leaders. I always like on leadership courses, like, can you think of a leader that you really admired you? You really admired you? Gosh, it really inspired you. And people will remember people, but if I say think of a leader that you would never want to be like, oh my God, people can call up someone like that. So like
Many.
think about them, like try and give yourself a bit more like that's another one, like be kinder to yourself in all of it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because actually when you do a job at a higher level, if we look at it from a employment perspective, you have never done it before. They know you've never done it before, but they
Hmm.
believe you have the ability to do it. So
Oh my
actually
gosh, I love that. Yeah.
you shouldn't be like knocking it out the park perhaps when you first move into a role, there should be that grace period of actually you getting up to speed.
Yes. Yes. Why are we not believing that more?
I know.
I suppose I just always think, well, I've got this job. I'm just going to have to go in and just be amazing at it. It's like,
Hmm.
no, nobody expects anyone to come into a job and just smash it. Nobody expects that.
And not everyone is going to be amazing every day.
Oh, yes.
I have my
Yeah.
period just now. I sent a voice note to one of my coaching clients yesterday, and I was like, I am going to give you a better response tomorrow because I got my period yesterday and I feel like I'm only making sense if I have like a sugar drip. My body is craving sugar. And unless I have sugar in my mouth, then I'm not making any sense. So I'll coach you back tomorrow. But yeah, like you're not going to, if you've got stuff going on for you, it's about
Of
being kind to
course.
yourself. And one thing is not, you need to look at yourself over a time period. You can't just say, right, okay, I had a bad day, therefore I'm not good at my job. No, you maybe just had a bad day. Write it off and have a better day tomorrow.
Oh, I love that too. You're full of good, insightful bits tonight. It's almost like you're a coach.
Well, if I didn't have imposter syndrome, no, I'm only kidding.
Yeah, shush you, shush you.
But yeah, I think as well, it's about having courage and being vulnerable. And actually, the people that I admire the most, like when we did our um empowerment collective series first workshop, it's the first workshop we've ever done.
Hmm.
And people had to come, and I know people were really nervous about coming because actually you're asking people to be super vulnerable.
Yeah.
And we did say you don't have to speak, but there'll be opportunities where you might be able to get to speak. And everyone actually, the energy in the room was amazing. Everyone loved it. Well, they said that they did. Let me know if you didn't. But like,
No.
you have to push yourself. So actually that's another tip. Sometimes you actually do have to push yourself and have this courage, push yourself out of your comfort zone. So like going along to that, you were maybe nervous. But when we started, I said, we're nervous. This is the first time we've
Yeah.
ever done this. We are nervous. You're probably nervous. We're nervous. And I think people believe people who are authentic like that
Oh,
and
yeah.
who are vulnerable. Like Brene Brown does so much amazing work in this space around vulnerability and empathy and courage. And being vulnerable is the bravest thing that
I
you
think
can
it's a
do.
superpower. It is a
It is.
superpower if you can be vulnerable because there's not a lot of people that can do it authentically and just be
Yeah.
their true self, just totally accepting of who they are and what they are. And
And
I
what we know
love
to be
that.
true is when you are your true self, that's when the good things flow in. That's when you're better at your job. That's when, your energy's higher, you attract
Yeah.
more. So it's so important. So what do you think, Stacey? Did that help or?
I thought that was a really lovely conversation. I really enjoyed it. I, yeah, I took a lot from that, and I hope other people will as well. And especially for me, I think in my situation, going back to work after over a year off, thinking to myself, how am I going to do this? Thinking, how am I going to juggle? How am I going to manage it all? And just giving myself a little bit of, like you said, grace, just
Mm-hmm.
being like, this is new. This
Yeah.
is all different to me. My life is totally different from the last time that I was here. You know, I'm going to go easy on myself. And again, yeah, I like that vulnerability piece where it's like just being honest that, like, my life
Mm-hmm.
is completely different now.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
need to figure out a new normal, a new groove for me to get into. So I think that's been really helpful. I hope it's been helpful for everyone else.
And I would say, like, you're going back to do something that's easier than what you've just done for the last year.
Well, I would absolutely agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that.
Like, the
It's
skills
definitely
that
going to
you
be
have,
easier.
it's going to be easier. It
It
is, but
is.
I get it. It's natural. Everyone, there's actually like a lot of companies now who do like maternity, like back to work coaching programs and
Yeah,
things, which like
that's
I'd eventually
amazing.
want to look into doing because I think it's really important. It's almost, but another thing, last kind of tip is like be vulnerable and maybe find a person, maybe
Yeah,
find someone who you can vent to and be like, I'm having a wobbly day just now. Like I have that with my clients. I had a client yesterday who was saying like, I'm feeling so anxious today. I'm feeling like I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. Having that person that you can really confide in or journaling it out for yourself and
yeah,
then like reading it back and being like, okay, how true is that statement?
yeah,
Something like that can be super, super helpful as well. And just, be kind to yourself and just always think as well, gosh, what would I have been like a year ago? And you don't notice because you don't look back as much, but you will have
hmm
handled the situation so much better because as
hmm
humans we are constantly evolving and constantly
hmm
learning, and the moment we stop is not good. So you should always be stretching
yeah.
yourself in some way, in a little bit, not all the time, but in some
Yeah.
way. So you're killing it.
Oh, and you are. You need to remember sometimes the coach needs coached.
Oh, you'll know that more than most.
Sometimes the coach needs coached.
The
But
coach
you're smashing it.
definitely needs, I mean, I have a coach. The coach needs coach. And I've got lots of friends and family and things who are super supportive as well.
Well, you're super smashing it. So let's just agree that we're all smashing it and we're all amazing and we're all doing great.
Exact. And everyone feels like this. Most people.
Yes.
Most people feel like this. Most people that I coach, there's some element of imposter
Yeah.
syndrome in there.
I think other people,
So,
some people are just better at hiding it than others.
yes, exactly. Exactly. Definitely. Well, we hope that that was useful. And give
Oh,
us some
useful,
feedback
Stace.
because there was a lot of people who asked us to do this one. So we hope that we've done it justice. If there's any elements of it that you don't think we've covered, that you want us to go into more detail, then I reckon this is probably a bit of a theme that we would come back to in other episodes as well.
Oh, I think there's
So
so much you could say about it, isn't there?
definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
But at 7 minutes to 10, I think we've said enough.
I've got 7 minutes to remove my makeup, brush my teeth, and get into bed and shut those eyes.
Okay, well, night night and bye everyone. We will speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.